Howdy, my name is Garrison, and I will be defending the Diaphorina citri, also known as the Asian Citrus Psyllid.
I'm Emily, and I'll be defending the Anoplophora glabripennis, also known as the Asian Longhorn Beetle.
Asian citrus psyllids are among the world's most invasive species. They were originally found only in the tropical and subtropical regions of Asia. The first case outside of this region occurred in Saudi Arabia in 1974. Today, this insect can be found in over 31 countries around the world. This pest invaded the United States through Florida around 1998. It is speculated this invasion occurred through the importation of plants from outside the U.S. By 2010, they had spread into 10 states, including Texas. As its name suggests, the Asian citrus psyllid can be found mainly on citrus plants, such as orange and grapefruit trees. Eggs are laid on the leaves of these plants. The whole life cycle takes about 15 to 47 days, depending on the season. Adults live for a few months, with about 9 to 10 generations of psyllids occurring each year. They can be found on the underside of citrus plant leaves. These insects feed off of the leaves and stems of the plants. The main problem with the Asian citrus psyllid is that it carries a bacterium known as Longhorn Beetle, HLB, or citrus greening disease. Nymphs contract this bacterium when they feed on an infected plant and carry it into adulthood. They can then pass it to any citrus plant after prolonged feeding on the plant's leaves. The symptoms of this disease include disformed, bitter, hard fruit with smaller than average seeds, fruit that stays green even when it is ripe, blotchy and asymmetrical speckling of leaves, yellow shoots, twig dieback, and stunted tree growth. This disease is especially devastating since there is no known cure. The Asian citrus psyllid is one of the most prolific pests in the world today. They can be found in most citrus-growing regions of the world. They carry a harmful disease which has no cure. It took a little more than 20 years for this pest to cross over from Asia into North America, and only 10 years for there to be significant populations in over 10 states. This is why the Asian citrus psyllid is the better invading species.
The Asian longhorn beetle, also known as the sky beetle, is one of the nation's most devastating forest pests. It's native to both eastern China and Korea, but it's been wreaking havoc throughout the United States for decades. This beetle takes about 1 to 2 years to develop from its egg to adult stage, which means the longer they have to destroy the whole tree. Adult females lay their eggs, which are about the size of a grain of rice, under the bark of the tree. These eggs are there for about 2 weeks until they hatch. The white larvae then begin feeding on the living tissue within the tree, where they grow into adults and emerge from the bark. They can be spotted during late spring to early fall. Adults are fairly large, typically between 0.75 and 1.5 inches long. They're black in color with white spots scattered across their back, and they have a long white banded antenna. These beetles are typically found on hardwood trees such as birch, poplar, willow, sycamore, and most famously maple trees. Trees with rough bark and leaves with no glands are optimal to them, and they begin feeding near the crown of the tree, which is the top, as well as the branches, and work their way down, killing the tree. Asian longhorn beetles were brought into the United States by solid wood packing material made out of the trees that they love so much. Even though there are measures in place to detect these creatures, they still sneak by every day. Experts say they first made land here in North America in the early 1990s, and since have become one of the nation's biggest forest pests due to their devastating choice of sustenance. It threatens these forests that are valued at billions of dollars and make it seem as though they will cause more destruction than Dutch elm disease, chestnut blight, and gypsy moths combined, which will be devastating over time. I truly believe the Asian longhorn beetle is the most superior invasive species, as it's one of the biggest causes of forest depletion within the United States. These insects have been reintroduced into the country 35 times since the 1990s, no matter how many preventative steps we take, just showing how relentless and ruthless they are. Each time a detection of the insect is found, areas are quarantined to try to eliminate the pest, but to no avail. We still haven't found an effective, foolproof way to eradicate the species completely, which makes their presence all the more menacing and proves just how superior of an invasion species they are.
Although both of our insects originated in Asia, the Asian citrus psyllid has had the bigger impact worldwide. This is because there are more citrus-growing regions around the world than there are hardwood-growing regions. The Asian citrus psyllid has had a larger impact on the world as a whole because of this prolific presence in more countries. It has destroyed several citrus industries around the world. The Asian longhorn beetle seems to only have a significant effect on U.S. hardwood population. The Asian Citrus Psyllid also has increased its population at a more rapid rate than the Asian longhorn beetle. It took 20 years for this pest to disperse across the Pacific Ocean from Asia to North America. Once here, it took only 10 years for the insect to infiltrate all the citrus-growing regions in the U.S. Lastly, while it may seem difficult to eradicate the Asian longhorn beetle, it would be even more difficult to eradicate the Asian Citrus Psyllid and to stop the spread of the citrus greening disease. The Asian Citrus Psyllid has way more generations in a year than the Asian longhorn beetle. The psyllid reproduces so fast that it would be hard for researchers to find an effective way to kill off the entire species. Secondly, as I stated before, there is no cure for the citrus greening disease, nor is there likely to be one. Comparatively, it would seem easier to eradicate the longhorn beetle and stop the destruction it causes than to get rid of the psyllid and citrus greening disease.
While I can say there are more citrus-growing regions worldwide, the statement that the Asian Citrus Psyllid is having a greater negative impact than the Asian longhorn beetle is false. The first sighting of this beetle was in New York City, and within just 2 years they started showing up in Illinois, California, New Jersey, and even Canada. That just shows how far and wide these beetles have spread, which just shows the severity of the situation. There are millions of these pests inside millions of trees, all of which are dying as we speak. The Citrus Psyllid has been combated with multiple insecticides for years. Although these insecticides aren't 100% effective in getting rid of them completely, there is yet to even be an insecticide that is even slightly effective in eradicating the longhorn beetle. The process to get rid of this pest includes the cutting down of trees that are infected with the beetle. In order to assess this, tree climbers are used in areas where trees are being quarantined in order to determine whether or not a tree is infected. The eradication of the longhorn beetle compared to the Citrus Psyllid is far more costly and time-consuming, not to mention more destructive in a shorter amount of time. The rampage longhorn beetles have on these trees will eventually bring about a potential ecological catastrophe. It takes decades for them to destroy thousands of trees, but it will also take decades to truly find a cure for this pest, as opposed to the Citrus Psyllid, who already has multiple insecticides stacked against it.
While insecticides have been used effectively against the Citrus Psyllid, this has only been in small populations. The best methods that researchers have found is to limit the transportation of infected citrus plants to only those that are not infected. This has been done in areas with large infected populations. In areas with small infected populations, they just remove the infected trees. As with the longhorn beetle, using insecticides is both costly and time-consuming. The longhorn beetle may have spread quickly across both the U.S. and Canada, but its effects on the rest of the world have been minimal. Compare that to the Citrus Psyllid, which has affected most major citrus-growing regions across the globe. Just by global impact, the Citrus Psyllid is superior. The longhorn beetle takes time to have an impact on the trees it chooses to affect. The Psyllid, on the other hand, can infect a citrus plant with the citrus greening disease within an hour of feeding on its leaves. The effects of the disease are not only greening fruit, but also disformed fruit with smaller seeds. The disease can cause stunted growth in citrus plants and twigs to die on the plants. Not only is the disease that the Citrus Psyllid carries rapid and effective, it harms future generations of citrus plants by making the seeds in the fruit unusable.
The limiting of the transportation of citrus plants to areas that are not infected is, in my eyes, yet another effective way to help stop the spread of the Citrus Psyllid, which is a leg up in eradication of the species compared to the longhorn beetle. Although the longhorn beetle doesn't have as great of a worldwide impact, the fact that the species has been here for decades and has yet to be taken care of shows just how good of an invasive species it truly is. It's also a more effective and dangerous pest as it affects more than just the fruit of the tree. It affects the whole tree it chooses, which in turn depletes the source for many items used daily, such as paper products and even some medicines. It was mentioned that it takes time for the longhorn beetle to have any impact on any given tree, which is true in some regard. However, it's only true when the beetle eggs are first laid under the bark. For the first 2 weeks they're in the eggs and aren't feeding on the tree, this is when they are not having any impact. However, once they hatch, they instantly start to feed, which means there's an instantaneous negative impact on that tree as they bore and eat through the tree's healthy tissue. This eventually, as we know, damages the tree and kills it.
I believe that the importance of the Asian Citrus Psyllid lies mainly in its transmission of the citrus greening disease. It is the main insect used by researchers to study the effects of citrus greening disease and other diseases. This disease is very harmful to the life cycle of all citrus plants, affecting not only the plants themselves, but the seeds in their fruits. The rapid rate at which the Asian Citrus Psyllid can reproduce has allowed them to become a menace on the world stage. Their effect can be felt across the world in every place where citrus fruits are grown. Their rapid expansion in the U.S. is proof that they are a serious threat. I will say that the longhorn beetle could be described as a threat to the North American hardwood population. However, in terms of a better invading species, it is clear that the Asian Citrus Psyllid has a larger reach and can expand its population at a more rapid rate. It is the clear winner.
In 2003, a study was conducted by the Beneficial Insects Introduction Research Unit, a research team led by the USDA, in order to better understand the behavioral aspects of the Asian longhorn beetle. They wanted to know what was the biggest driving factor in allowing the beetle to spread as much as they do and as well as they can. This research has been used in the efforts of forest managers to come up with new and improved ways to eradicate the pests from the hardwood forests within the United States. This research also provided insight into which protocols should be put in place for earlier detection in order to control the pest. I believe the Asian longhorn beetle is important to study because it truly is a fierce invasive species that threatens our forests. If the spread of this species continues and their destruction has never ceased, North America would be prone to extreme droughts. When it did rain, disastrous flooding as well as erosion could occur. Trees provide us with oxygen and many different products we use daily, such as aspirin, paper, and even chocolate. So without trees, we would be in situations that are irreversible, disastrous, and sad. It's obvious Garrison and I have some pretty outstanding insects. To me, though, the Asian longhorn beetle's spread and destruction on hardwood forests is fast and, in their benefit, effective. They reproduce and grow quickly as well, and we have yet to find a successful solution to prevent their expansion. With all the information we have provided, in my opinion, it's easy to say that the Asian longhorn beetle truly is the better invading species.